kind of person that I am, I like helping and I like giving back.
Kirsty is the person that everybody goes to if they want a problem solved. She thinks of herself always second, and I think that does come a lot from her Niuean background. The Pacific Island culture is all about family and people.
My mum enjoys the little things in life, which is awesome, but yeah, she's just a loving, funny and energetic person.
And I completely changed. I had hot flushes, I had the lethargy, insomnia, I wasn't sleeping, a really low mood, almost like depressed, irritable bowel. I know that there's more. Brain fog is definitely one of those, and I've obviously just had one of those moments where you actually think you've got the start of early onset Alzheimer's. I'd go from 0 to 100 in seconds over something so small as maybe someone leaving the milk out. My tolerance was really, really, really low.
In Kirsty's terms, not mine, the psychobitch moments. Just suddenly, and obviously with a hormone thing, these things happen like this. It was just suddenly she's... So yeah, it was a real challenge for the whole family.
Reese and Mark probably copped it the most. And it could literally be, I'm sure that those two grew closer because of it. Because, Reese would not do the dishes properly, or, I don't know, he might not have put the toilet seat down. And so, I'd literally go into, well, if you can't ship up, you've got to ship out. You're 21 now. I can't be going around, changing your things. And then, it could be hours, could be a couple of days later that I'd go, I'm really sorry. I don't know where that came from.
Vamos.
Can you shut the freezer too, please?
Easy, anytime. I know that's the menopause, and I know it's not her out of hatred or mad at me or anything like that. I just know sometimes you can just snap and you've just got to take a step back.
Don't worry, I get it from you.
For the past 12 months, mum's been through a lot, and so she can call me what she wants. She can, say those things, but as long as she's healthy, I'm so happy.
See you.
Love you. See you.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Thank you. Have an amazing week.
My cancer journey started off in May 2021, routine mammogram. I had to go down the chemo route.
I'm doing good. Fix is still with me, but I'm going back to bed because I'm still getting tired really easy. Lots of love, me.
I was supposed to have radiation. Unfortunately, I had problems with my lungs, so a double mastectomy was my next step.
Good morning, everybody. I'm still smiling.
Chemo basically thrusted me into menopause. I think for me, I knew that chemo was going to stop.
I thought I would just show everybody how well I'm doing. I am up and about. I have...
With menopause, I don't know when it's going to stop. And the fact that it can go on for so long really does scare me.
And your relationship and marriage with Mark, how did things change there?
Again, I really didn't recognise who I was. I remember one night saying to him, I'm really sorry. I don't feel like sex at all.
I think as a male, unless you're really understanding, you can take that to heart. What have I done? It can become an issue in a relationship because you're always going, what have I done? What am I not doing? And it's nothing to do with that at all.
I did wonder whether I'd fallen out of love because I felt nothing. But I felt nothing about a lot of things. But even hugs from my children, they were just smothering me too much. So that was really tough because I'm a real hands-on, tactile kind of person. The thought definitely had crossed my mind about leaving the whole family, like maybe they're better off without me and then I could just carry on because I'd completely changed.
I was never in a situation of leaving my marriage through menopause. Once people understand what is happening, then they can have a reason for going, I need to stick with this because this is not somebody doing something because this is their personality changing forever.
If you don't actually understand what's happening to you, it can actually destroy your soul and your head. It is torture. Yeah, it's definitely torture. I was very fortunate that my cancer wasn't hormone related, so I was able to have the HRT.
Hi guys.
Hi.
Hello.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
How the last few months been and how are you feeling, Kirsty?
Started off okay, and then as time went by, as I increased that HRT, it really kind of, things changed. The flushes died down.
A woman who has had a breast cancer diagnosis, who is struggling with menopausal symptoms, unfortunately isn't very unique at all. It is quite a common scenario. It's uncommon to move on to hormone therapy, but it's not unheard of. And at the moment that's been a beneficial thing for Kirsty, but she will be closely monitored. We'll review the evidence and make decisions with time over the next year or two.
Yeah, okay. Thank you so much for all you do. Yeah, you've changed my life, so I appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. I think it's the estrogen action that's changed your life, but I appreciate your comments. And that's okay, and we will just
I actually feel as though the old Kirst is coming back. I'm not there 100%, but it's definitely lifted my mood. Definitely stopped my heart from racing real fast. And yeah, it's, I think all of my boys, because I include Mark as a boy, I include, you know, that I think they've seen a better side of me as well.
Oh, that's a
The concern is more about, is mummy going to have to go back to hospital again and that sort of stuff. Whereas the angry moments, they can cope with that, you know. So that's where, you know, our story is a little bit different to a general menopause experience.
Before the HRT, I can't remember the last time that I belly laughed, you know. I mean, I'd laugh, but I didn't kind of really laugh. I'd lost my joy in things. I think you need to educate the fact that actually what I'm going through is completely normal. Not fun, but it's normal. And if I have a great set of people around me who basically I sought help with, I think that I would probably be, I don't know, living somewhere completely different away from my children.
Can you see what life might look like once you're post-menopause?
I think it will be back to having fun and laughing and actually really enjoying time with each other and as a family, doing the things that matter, and not sweating the small stuff. Yeah, I do.
It has slapped a whole generation around the face, you know, and we are, just cross, confused. Why didn't we know about this? we are different in our bodies. We are different, and we haven't had a positive story about what happens for women post their fertile years, post youth. And so a lot of women are uncomfortable with this story because we are coming into midlife, we're invisible, we're unvalued, we experience ageism from the age of 40 in the workplace. Here's another way in which we are weak and feeble women and can be dismissed as not as good as men. It's a big deal, and we are going to make noise about it because it is a gateway to healthy ageing and later life for women. There is stigma around the word menopause for a number of reasons. You know, it's a complex topic, and this is not just recent. Women are valued as being vessels for the future of humanity, right? We make and grow and deliver more people into the world. And when you get to a point where you're no longer valued for that, we don't necessarily have the same recognition of the transition and shift in value for women when they move from youth and fertility into wisdom and guidance.
I think this is something that runs quite deep in our culture, back to hundreds of years ago even. And most of the people who were so-called witches who were burnt at stake were menopausal women. And, and some of the things that they listed, there's some sort of step deformity of the back, which can be osteoporosis, which can be more common after menopause, irritability, which is a very common symptom. And so women were stigmatized and really punished even more for a lot of these things.
I think reality is there is judgment out there. But if all of us keep not talking about it and keep not addressing these issues, then we allow people to ignore them, and we allow people to just think, oh, it's women's stuff, we shouldn't talk about that. So I actually think, as hard as it is, talking is really important. Menopause is when periods stop, but menopause is much more than that. Periods will go through a spectrum of change, that very regular, anywhere between 28 to 35-day menstrual cycle changes. Periods come closer together first, and then they stretch out and they become less regular. And it's that time of menstrual change that is described as the perimenopause. The average age of the last period is between 50 and 51, and the normal spectrum is between 45 and 55. But typically that perimenopause will occur about 5 years or so before the last menstrual period. There is quite a lot of variation.
For me, this has been a rude awakening. So ringing in the ears, tinnitus, sleeplessness, anxiety, depression, menorage. It's a thing, menorage.
But symptoms may or may not be an issue. About 20% of women really hardly get any symptoms at all, but about 80% of women do get some symptoms, and about 50% of women will find that those symptoms are affecting quality of life enough that they come knocking on somebody's door asking for help. 29 of the 44 symptoms I have experienced. It's like every woman has a unique recipe, if you like, and it's one that changes through time in terms of their menopause experience. This system is just rewiring itself with its own mind. I hope one day that this is not a big thing. We understand about it, we're educated, we're supported. In order for it to get to a place where it's normal means it is
coming up in society, up in conversations, it's making people uncomfortable and we need to make some things change for it then to settle down back into, oh, so it's just normal now.
I think physically my menopause was pretty easy compared to a lot of women's. It was definitely for me the anxiety. That's what just about killed me.
Save them, I just don't discard them.
Mum talked to me a lot about what she was going through at different stages. There's a lot of discussion about it, and there was a lot of discussion about moods and you know, cravings.
Look how sweet they are when they're slightly off.
One thing that she did tell me, which I feel like she led me up the garden path a little on this one, is that she always said, oh, well, darling, we've had shitty periods, you'll have an easy menopause. And I don't know that I agree. I felt tortured for a few years. The physical stuff was the hot flushes, my sleep was interrupted. I noticed that I was physically aging. To be really brutally honest, yeah, just a very dry vagina. Aside from that stuff, which was kind of an annoyance, it was definitely for me the anxiety. I was just so on edge, and it took me a while to realise that I had gone from just being a bit worried all the time to actually beside myself, and that actually this wasn't me. I wasn't just doing my usual little freak out about stuff. I was actually having full-blown panic attacks, and yeah.
You know, it was awful. It was absolutely agonising. I haven't ever seen anyone that anxious before, and I know that, you know, menopausal madness, that's a name for it, isn't it? I have friends whose mothers committed suicide when they were menopausal. I know it's huge for women.
I sit with women every day that I work who are struggling. If you have had a major depressive episode in the past, you have a 50% chance of a recurrence over the early perimenopause. And if you've never had a major depressive episode, then you have a 25% chance of a major depressive episode over the early perimenopause. So that is actually very significant and incredibly impactful on women's lives.
I've got my first novel coming out. It's contemporary fiction. It's not about menopause, but it is definitely very much about women and their relationships and about mothering and how all those things can go horribly, horribly tits up.
Very pleasure to be here tonight to launch Meng-Yee and Scott's debut novel, One of Those Mothers.
It was taking me 7 years. I think it still probably would have taken me far longer than I expected to write my first novel, but it might have taken me maybe 3 or 4 years if it wasn't for menopause. I think it definitely derailed me.
It had been several years of us talking about her anxiety and how things were difficult, and I said, we've kind of reached the end of the road, like you need to, like, this is not working. Whatever you've tried is not working. Can you please go to the doctor? Just like I said, I have a heart condition. Would you not expect me to take heart medication? And she said, of course not. I said, well, you have an anxiety condition. You need to get it looked at.
Went to the doctor to ask for HRT, but I had also heard that that some doctors are still quite opposed to prescribing it and that you have to kind of really argue your case. She straight away said, I'll put you on HRT if that's what you want, but just go through the symptoms with me.
Hormone therapy is never really going to help a symptom that's been present since the early reproductive years. So has this been a reasonably recent symptom, or has the symptom changed by medication that you've been taking for some time? Those are the kind of symptoms that hormone therapy has a chance of being beneficial for.
It's weird. It's not that I would ever judge anyone for going on antidepressant or anti-anxiety medication, but I always kind of thought that I was more resilient and that I could get on top of it by myself. So I really fought it, and then I gave in, and so thankful that I did. At the moment, I'm just really thankful for this little pill I take each day, and I'm just going with it.
I have been a career firefighter for just over 17 years. We see a lot of things that you wouldn't wish anyone to see. It's not just cats and trees, you know, you go to car accidents and house fires, you go to suicides, shootings, stabbings. But you've got to do your job. I can't say I can't go into that house fire because I'm having a hot flash.
Catch up on your red lights if you can. If there's nothing apart from that, we'll just play the day as it comes.
It's a very male-dominated industry, and even amongst females, menopause is like taboo. No one talks about it, and until I got my first experience with it, I didn't know anything about it. You know, I didn't know that you had brain fog, you had stress, you had hot flushes, difficulty concentrating. I knew none of that. I hate gaining weight. I mean, I am uncomfortable in the clothes that I wear. My uniform at work doesn't fit me right, and no one wants to go and ask their boss, can you order me the next size up? I have sore joints, sore body all the time. I can walk to the track like a cripple, and you need to be able to spring into action when the bells go down at work.
National Steel. Fires, National Steel.
We're a pretty tight crew, so I just told them I'm a menopause, and I say it all the time at work, you know. Most of them are younger than me, so their partners and wives won't be going through it at this stage, and so they're probably not very aware of it.
Mike, I'm Sophie today, remember?
Well, she's obviously going through that change in her life.
What's that change called?
Menopause. Yeah, so she's going through menopause. So, and I know that can take its toll on people, so.
Why is it so hard for you to say the word menopause?
Just because it's a personal level. So I think for her, you know, that's something that she has to go through. It's not something you just openly talk about, I guess.
I suffer from brain fog, from menopause. It can be quite dangerous, like especially when you are driving the truck. You've got 3 other people in the truck with you, and you need to be well aware of what you're doing, especially like coming up to things like traffic lights. You know, if you're coming back to the station from a call, remember that a red light is a red light. My managers haven't given me any support. I don't think that they have ever thought about what females go through when they get older within the organisation.
Yeah.
What female wants to say, oh, I can't come to work today, I'm having menopause or I'm having my period and it's heavy and I can't cope today. No one's going to go to their doctor and take a certificate into work saying that, are they?
And it's also, I think, really important in the workplace to understand that it's not a failing of women or a deficiency in women. It is just a transition that we're going through in which we might need a bit more support.
I think we really do need to educate male bosses, particularly about what goes on for our female colleagues and staff members. The kinds of policies that we're introducing at NZME are a start, because actually this is about normalising and destigmatising a perfectly natural time in a woman's life. And part of that for NZME is making sure that bosses understand that this is what's going on and it is perfectly normal and it's okay to be talked about. And I think the best thing for us as women is to not shy away from doing it either, because I think that we go, okay, God, we're not even going to talk to them about that, because isn't it awful when they're going to be blushed and embarrassed and I'm going to stammer and it's all going to be hideous. And actually, I say bugger that. I think that we need to ourselves just own the space and not be worried about talking about it, because it is really natural.
You know, everyone's work settings are different. So some people have leave policies or flexible working as well. Because if you, as
definitely days where I need to be beside the bathroom more often than not. That happens. I'm quite a straight shooter, so I don't have any problem saying either I'm going to work from home today or just making sure that I've got a day in the office so I don't have to be out and about too far just to be able to manage what's going on for me. It does affect people at work. It affects half of our workforce, and that's really important that we are supportive, have a good environment that's useful, and you know, the fans on the desk, making it very clearly known that sick leave is appropriate to take, have kind of flexible working hours where possible in our jobs. That's not always easy, but doing some of those kinds of things just to make sure that people know that this is a supportive workplace, because it does have a big impact on people for sure.
Record in 3, 2, 1. Tuned into The Rush with Sia and Henry. Why do we want period leave? If you're out there and you've experienced this stuff, you'll know why we want it. And we got it. And so all of 2022, we've been having this conversation in and out of our show about, you know, normalising menstrual and menopause leave for our brothers and our sisters in our E2 collective. Remember?
I do remember. I also hope you remember to turn the microphone on.
For me as a Pacific woman, knowing that something like having a menstrual and menopause leave, it means that I still can't believe that I've been part of a change that's going to be for the better.
I do remember when the first claim was brought, and it wasn't until I heard from you and the other woman in our collective just how passionate that we didn't have something like this in place. It wasn't until that happened that I then started paying attention and realising we should be having something like this for our women.
So to all of you mamas and you papas, everybody listening as we continue this, the number of women that have taken the actual leave, but I only know of one so far. When she returned to work, she was like, sis, thank you so much. I was like, what are you thanking me for? Because I was like, this is weird. I don't know what she's thanking me for. And she said she had used the leave at a time she felt very unwell and not having to touch sick leave, which she can save now for herself or for her kids. She just said for her, it was a game changer. I definitely believe it is.
Listening to what Lucia was saying to me about how to deal with menstruation, menopause in the workplace, my first thing was, well, okay, there's an inequity here in terms of how a male deals with their sick leave and how a woman deals with their sick leave in the workplace. The male employees in the organisation, 100% support. I just think there's a natural sort of inclination or inherent value to look after one another.
That's the best way of doing it. These are women in the prime of their careers, right? You don't want to be losing these people. We hear so many stories of women who leave work because they suffer such a crisis of confidence and they think they're not up to it. My message to other workplaces is, you know, really embrace this. It's a wonderful thing you can do to help support your female colleagues.
I've suffered on my own. Do I want that for females up and coming within the organisation on their own? And no, I don't. Something needs to happen. We need to get the education out there for others that are in the organisation and want to push through menopause until they retire. I want to be putting out fires till I'm 65.
So this is a pile of stuff that I had bought
prior to my diagnosis of menopause, trying to help alleviate my hot flushes. The trusty fan. This one's quite comical. It's actually a dog cooling blanket. Some vitamins. They don't work either. And it's here, there, everywhere. And then body wipes that you fresh yourself up after your little hot flushes. They're just probably like baby wipes. Is this a fan? But it doesn't actually take away from the hot flushes. You still have them. Now this one here, let's pause because, it's about menopause. It's a perfume that's called Hormonal Harmony for the Female Sage. I could think of nothing worse of being reminded that I'm in menopause, to be completely honest. So yes, I've spent a little bit of money on trying to alleviate some symptoms. None of it works. Taking sips of cold water helps probably. The biggest thing has been the air conditioning and this fan, which is really simple and not expensive. So I started on HRT and progesterone replacement. These are my little patches, and I can definitely tell when they need to be changed. I do actually need to change mine today, so I will open it and show you. Literally, you put this on your abdomen, and it's literally just a tiny patch like that. And that's why I know that's why I'm getting my spark back. I know there's been a kind of stigma around HRT, and that's a real shame. But for me, it's made a difference. So I've got a patch, and I can tell when I need to change it. The other one that I take is this as well, my little round balls. They're my estrogen balls.
So there's been a shift in the change in how hormone replacement therapy or menopausal therapy is referred to, from HRT to MHT, and I think that's possibly due to more of a focus on how it can be used therapeutically rather than necessarily as a replacement. MHT is the most effective treatment for menopause symptoms and should be considered as first line for most women unless there are contraindications, just because it is so effective.
I've been on HRT now for 16 months, I think. It has been a game changer. Within 12 days of taking it, my sleep changed in a measurable way. The anxiety's gone. The sudden floods of menorrhage are gone. I haven't had a visual migraine or a migraine since I've been on it. No headaches, actually. I've been able to stop taking daily hay fever pills, provided I stay off sugar. All of my joint pain has disappeared. It really is life-changing.
With regards to whether every woman should be on MHT going through menopause, under the age of 50, it is important for health. Over the age of 50, it's very individualised, and it depends on what symptoms you have, how much they bother you, and whether you have other indications like low bone density. MHT does not suspend menopause. It's purely to replace the hormones that would normally be there.
So when we're talking about hormone therapy, we are discussing estrogens and progesterones. Mm-hmm. If you have had a hysterectomy, then you are able to use estrogen by itself, and you typically don't need progesterone. If you haven't had a hysterectomy, then you need to use both estrogen and progesterone. The breast cancer risk is the big thing that women are concerned about. And current data shows that if you start combined hormone therapy in your early 50s and you continue it for about 8 or 9 years and you continue to take it, then moving forward from that time point, about 1 per 1,200 women per year will develop a breast cancer attributable to their hormone therapy. And that's the same kind of risk that women run if they choose to have 2 alcoholic drinks a day, or if they're overweight.
So I started on HRT and progesterone replacement. I know there's been a kind of stigma around HRT, and that's a real shame. For me, it's made a difference. The other things I take is I'm actually on an antidepressant, and that there is to try and help alleviate the flushes, which I'm having one right now. But the other thing, which is what they prescribe in America as well, is gabapentin. That's for the flushes as well. So you go those two aside. But I think it's a combination of all of these, which, you look at it and you think, oh my goodness, there's so many medicines. But if it makes me more sane and makes me feel like I am Kirsty rather than this stranger imposter, then I'm okay taking them.
There is things that women can do to help themselves, really important things. Being a non-smoker, minimising alcohol. The menopausal brain and alcohol don't really mix. Maintaining a healthy weight in the healthy range. Regular exercise is also really important, and keeping up with your health checks. Your mammograms, your cervical smears, your blood pressure checks, and so on. If you're getting to a point where you're thinking these symptoms are affecting my quality of life, then you should talk to your GP.
What I would call the midlife dip, really, the turning point. I feel like I've made it through that with the help of more information, education, pharmaceutical support, and community.
My advice is to seek help. If your GP doesn't understand, then go to someone who does. Trust your gut. Read up. I listen to podcasts as well. As soon as you hear the word menopause and stuff, I think educating yourself on how it affects you, because just because my symptoms are this doesn't mean they're going to be your symptoms. Some people go unscathed. Others may have more than I have. But I think education and talking is the key.
I just love being postmenopausal. I think it's fantastic.
I think it's important for women who are past menopause to be out there and be brave and not feel like they have to hide away.
I find women feeling like they are unimportant, invisible, and have no value because they're going through menopause or getting older completely bizarre. The freedom. Is any woman out there who has bled every month since 14 years old when I got my period? Hey, the freedom that you have after that finishes. I'm like this, wow, I can plan anything to go anywhere. Like sometimes I would worry, because my periods used to be really heavy, I'd worry if I had a social engagement, I'd worry about work, I couldn't wear certain outfits. See, now I can do whatever I want, whenever I want, wear whatever I want, and I know, that my periods are finished, that I'm in this wonderful place, and I love being more relaxed.
Whatever you need me to do.
Menopause can be a positive thing. Women with heavy, painful, unpleasant periods, they just stop and go away. Don't need to worry about contraception. Cyclical symptoms will all disappear. So there's absolutely some positive things that come alongside this change.
How liberating is being postmenopausal? I think I felt a degree of sadness when my period stopped, because it signalled all those things that I knew were coming, the invisibility, the lack of being seen as a fertile, viable sexual being. I mean, I work on building sites with men, that's mostly what I do, and I know they all really like me, they trust me, I'm good at my job. There's an invisibility there, particularly with younger men. I'm sure I just get slotted into a category. In fact, I think often people are surprised I'm working there, and I'm not the cleaner or someone's mother who's turned up on the job. our society, even though we'd like to pretend that it's not, is still about, finding a mate and, creating the next generation. And so I think that menopausal women are no longer of value and that, they're no longer able to breed. And okay, those things are theoretically not relevant anymore, but they still are.
I think it's really sad if you think that you only have value when you're young and good looking. Yeah, true. My grandmother always used to say, what you wear in your heart shows on your face. So I would rather that my wrinkled face shows my heart and everything else that I am, and everything I've been through and everything that I am, rather than being this non-wrinkled version of 47-year-old me. I don't even know who I'm trying to fool.
Joe. Tough start.
You know how I said my knees weren't sore this morning? I think they've changed. No, I'm too scared to have sore knees.
You're sort of only halfway through your functioning life when you get menopause. If you're going to write off 25 years because you're postmenopausal, it's a bit of a waste, isn't it? There's just so much stuff you can do, and you can take bigger risks as you get older. I reckon it's worth getting out there and trying to do things and pushing yourself. I'd say that it's a lot harder to get fit. For me, that's been a real battle. It's not too bad on your sex life, but I think you do probably go off the boil a bit. You're not probably as keen, and I can see how some people could just, feel that they're at the end of that part of their life.
Your libido comes back. Maybe not as amazing as it was, but it comes back, and my energy levels have so come back. I'm hugely energised. I never want to be any other way. I don't want to grow old gracefully.
Gorgeous.
I think that your libido goes hand in hand with your fertility, because when I was fertile, oh my God, it was wonderful sex drive, and made the most of that sex drive. Now that it's naturally diminished, I am completely okay to also be really chill in that department as well. But that's what I mean. It is all such a natural process that we shouldn't resist. And that's why before you go through menopause, if you aren't making the most of your sex drive and your youth and all of that and your fertility, you may live to regret it.
Age and sex and menopause and all those things don't really have to mark your life.
You really do get to a place of just, everything's fine. Everything's fine. Well, that's what it is for me.
It's good, man. This is boss player. This is rolling.
I don't want to hide away. If you think, oh God, I'm menopause, so that's it, life's over, then it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. I'm not going to believe that.